Dr. Morey, Uncivilized Vitality, and today's video is going to be about cooking. So a lot of times we talk about the fire kit, what to bring, and your containers, and then people say, well, you know, what are we going to cook? So I got a few items down here. I don't have anyone to help me with the camera today, so I'm just going to hold them up and show you. So actually, let's bring that a little closer, maybe. Whoa. Okay. All right, that'll be better. So let's talk about stoves. So generally, the main thing I carry is I have my canteen and I have a nesting cup. This is, where are my glasses? 700 mils, so about 25 ounces. So a few cups of water, and in my cook bag I keep the little lid for it. So I've got a miniature pot with which I can boil water or drink drinks, or I eat my food out of that. And I carry a little spoon with me. So this is about my entire cook kit 90% of the time. I just boil my water in there, and I have my canteen. Now sometimes if I'm taking my wife, or I'm going to do something extravagant, I will bring, in addition to my cup to drink from, I will bring a slightly larger cup, or I guess what you call a small bush pot. This has a bail so that I can hang this from a tripod or cook, and I can boil. Since this one is quite a bit bigger, I can boil more water at once for both of us at the same time, or I can cook stews and dishes and that. And then I have an even larger bush pot that I generally bring when there's 3 or 4 of us. So those are my containers to cook with. And when I say cook, generally I mean just boiling water for a dehydrated meal, which I don't do a lot because they're mostly gross, but mostly for boiling hot water. And then I eat cold, or I'll cook my usually my steak or any of the meat that I'm bringing. I just cook that right on a rock or right on the fire. But there are some other options. One that's good for, another option for boiling water, besides just using my cup or bush pot or even my water bottle in direct fire, like maybe we're in an area that's non-permissible for fire, is this whole standby, the little jet boil and gas-powered stoves. I kind of mixed up. I've got one from MSR that just folds out and then stands up, and it's got these little stands. It's very small. Then it just screws down right onto the top of the canister. The canister sits in my stove kit. I have the little container for the stove, and I have some heavy-duty foil for a windscreen to set up to protect the flame around the canister. And then I have this little thing, which I can't recommend highly enough. This is a little thing that snaps on the bottom of your canister to give it some stability. And then you put the foil windbreak around it, the little stove's on top, and then boom, you've got a little contraption. Quick instant flame. And in one of these cups or a bush pot like this, I can boil water really quickly and then just pack the thing back up. It's all pretty lightweight. Matter of fact, usually the whole system will sit down inside. I'm not going to take that container. I can drop the whole mess right down inside. Right down inside. It's got its little protective case. I can drop the whole thing right down inside the bush pot, pack it a little better, and close it up. And I've got the entire cook kit right here. Snap it out, put it together, boil some water. What are you going to do with boiled water besides hot drinks? Unless you have a dehydrated meal, not much. Typically I'm going to eat like a steak or something I can cook at camp, so I will need a slightly different setup. If I have a fire permissible environment, and I'm not bringing my little gas stove, so I can quickly boil water. So a lot of people like those jet boils. I had one, used it for a few years. Not my favorite, because again, I'm just limited to boiling water. I prefer natural fuel stoves, because then I just have to gather up a few sticks, snap them up, make a little twig pile. I don't even have to cut a lot of wood, right? And then this would be enough to get me to boil a little pot of water in a natural fuel stove. And I'll show you some different options. My old standby is just an S-bit stove, or a German stove, little pocket stove. They're really neat. They fold open, right, just like that, and you can even carry a little container of fuel inside there, some wet fire, a couple little S-bit alcohol burners. You can leave it on an angle like this. It's got these little legs so it sits, providing airflow underneath through the vents. You put this little alcohol pack on there and it burns long enough for you to set your cup on and boil your water. If you have a slightly larger bush pot, you can stand them open all the way, and now you've got enough room to put a larger structure, even a pan on top of, right? So little S-bit stove folds up, super compact, really great for a portable stove, because I can always find something, almost always find something to burn, and that way I'm not carrying a gas container, which are not all they cracked up to be in the Michigan winters. So that little stove allows me to make a small enough fire to boil some water, or even to put a pan over, or to cook directly over if I'm just roasting pieces of meat one at a time, like little meat marshmallows. So we do that a lot. Another version of a kind of a built-in stove is the one I've used since giving up the S-bit years ago, is this one. Look how thin that is compared to the S-bit. The size is not much bigger, but it's made of titanium. It weighs almost nothing. This is that's probably backwards. The Vargo titanium hexagon wood stove, natural fuel stove. Comes out, it's all in one piece, flops open like that. It's got these little tabs right there, and the little slots. That little slot, and then I just fold that together. And I've made a nice little stove, narrow top, kind of conical shaped, vents in the bottom to allow airflow, and it's got this nifty little door I can open up and feed my natural fuel into, and my twigs as the fire gets going. Or I could bring along one of these things, which I don't remember where I got these. I bought a case once. They're compressed paraffin and sawdust, and they just sit in the bottom of that stove. That little wafer, you light that up, and that's enough to boil water. Even my bigger bush pot, the 64-ounce bush pot, sits right on top of that. Right, brings that water to a boil very quickly. I've burned one of those cakes before and had time to boil 3 pots of water. It's also small enough to set just my cup on top of. I can also get a pan over the top of that if I'm cooking something in a pan. That's it. That's the other stove I use. Sits right on the ground in non-open fire areas. Like sometimes we go to North Manitou Island, there's no open fires there, so we have to cook with the little stoves. And then when I'm done, because it's titanium, it cools off really quickly. It's easy to clean, and it's got this nifty little storage bag. So that's usually my go-to stove. Matter of fact, it's so light, it's almost always in my cook kit with the lid to my cup and my spoon. That's usually my entire kitchen with my salt shaker. Sometimes I will take this. This is a little wire, I think it's stainless steel grill, and I can't remember where I got it. So if anyone recognizes this, leave that in the comment where we can get that. I'm sure it's one of the big outdoor outfitters, and it'll probably occur to me as soon as I shut the damn camera off, but it is what it is. This is my second one. I had the other one, same one, for about 4 years. I've cooked many steaks on it. I also sometimes will set this up. I'll dig a fire hole, a couple rocks, and set this grill on the rocks just above the fire hole, and then on there I set my pot. I've got room for someone else's pot. I cook meat, pretend this is a hamburger patty, put that right on there, and I cook directly on the grill over the fire hole, warming my water at the same time. It's really handy. Gets quite messy though, and then when I'm done with it, I will just drop it down inside my Amazon bag, fold it up to keep the rest of my gear from getting dirty. And then that just slips down, you know how thin that is, that just slips down in the back of my pack along with my cook kit, keeps the rest of my gear clean, and then I've got a grill. So sometimes that's an option I'll bring. Also, these Amazon bags, we've talked about these before, great for sitting on damp ground. And if you ever order anything from Amazon, you get a free ground pad with it. You can put your grill inside there, and now you've got a complete kitchen. Between this, the wood stove, the lid to my cup, my spoon, and the actual nesting cup, I've got an entire kitchen ready to go. Other options, of course, are the S-bit and Herbalist stock, the backpack. I'll have to put it in the, have Tom look it up. There's another stove that comes in 4 pieces and you build it, but it's not connected. It works just like the hexagon stove I have here. Those are great too, but I prefer the old-fashioned S-bit. This just drop right down in your pocket. You can carry that. And you can, if you run out of the fuel cubes, you can just burn natural fire in it. I tried the jet boil and the gas-powered stoves for a long time. Personally, just not a fan of it, but I have used it. They're pretty handy. I've got this whole little setup and this padded cube to protect the stove, and I drop that down in my bag. But compared to my S-bit, as far as weight savings, and once I've run out of fuel now, I'm just carrying an empty canister, whereas this, once I've run out of fuel, I can just burn twigs and sticks. Okay. And then if I'm going super deluxe, I bring my entire cook kit, which is a little stainless steel grill, my Vargo titanium stove, folding stove, a spoon, and a lid for my nesting cup. And then I always have the nesting cup, because that's what I drink out of. And then if I'm bringing or camping with someone else, my wife or any of the boys, and we're going to partner up on an equipment, I'll bring a slightly larger bush pot for the group or the pair, so we can heat more water a little faster. So that's it. Some various options for stoves. One of the other good things about the Nesbit, you can pick up these and slightly larger versions. You can pick these up at a military supply store for about $2, or the good ones, the German stove S-bit, on Amazon for I don't know how much, but relatively cheap. They don't last forever, but as far as minor investment, I can't recommend these highly enough. The Vargo titanium folding hex was a little spendier. This was, I think, closer to $75, $80. I don't remember. Nesting cup just depends on what you're looking to do. If you're looking to travel real small and you're in an area real light and relatively cheap, I think this is 10 or 15 bucks. You can just dig a fire hole, get a couple rocks or green sticks, and make a little grill, and you can cook things right on that. Later, I am actually out tonight, having a little rest out in the woods, and doing some YouTube videos, obviously. I've got a few steaks I'm going to cook tonight. I will cook some on the grill and some on the hex stove, like little meat marshmallows, and then maybe I can fold that into the video later, get some footage of using this grill. I can't remember where I got, but that's it. Leave some comments below. What do you use for your cooking operations when you're out? Do you use a jet boil, a gas stove? Do you just cook over a fire? What are you doing? It's too wet or there's no fire? What are some other ideas? Leave some comments, like and share the channel, hit the notification button so the next time an idea pops in my head about something, you'll be notified. And that's it.